Hi boys and girls. Last week you started learning about geometric shapes, and the one thing about being in quarantine is you can't actually physically touch these shapes because they're all in my classroom and you're all at home. So you could go around your house and locate some of these things. It took me no time at all to find a sphere. I just had to go right down the hallway to David's bedroom. He has a bunch of spheres. So a sphere is kind of one of the easiest geometric shapes. You guys sometimes call it a circle, but a circle is a two-dimensional shape, which is flat. A sphere is 3D, and it has 3 dimensions. So when we're looking at, are there any flat places on this, we call that a face. There's nothing flat on this, that's why it can roll. So there are 0 faces on a sphere. When we look at edges, where like those flat parts meet, well, there's no flat parts, so this shape cannot have any edges. So if it doesn't have faces or edges, it's definitely not going to have vertices where 2 edges meet. So that's going to be a 0. So sphere is one of the fun ones because not only can it roll, but it's the easiest to remember. It has no faces, no edges, and no vertices. And you probably have balls around your house too, baseballs, basketballs. You could use this to help you when you're going to study about the geometric shapes. All right, cones. I don't have any ice cream cones at the house. Somebody might have eaten them. I did find one of my baking tips, but then it looked kind of small in the picture, so I just made a cone. I just taped a piece of paper, like a little party hat. All right, so cones are fun because obviously we put ice cream in them, but when we're talking geometry, we're looking for faces. We're looking for the flat surfaces. So we have no flat surfaces here, but on this bottom part, that actually is a flat surface if this was a solid shape. So cone actually has 1 face. Now we're looking for edges where two faces meet. Well, because there's only 1 face, there's not another face for this to meet to make an edge. So a cone has no edges. And then of course, if it doesn't have any edges, is it going to have vertices where they meet up? No. So that's kind of a fun one. All right. This is probably something you have a lot of in your house. You probably have a lot of cylinders around. If you have tuna fish or canned beans, there's all kinds of these cylinders probably in your pantry. So when we're looking at the faces, we're looking for the flat parts. Well, clearly this part here is curved, but we have a flat face here and a flat face here. So a cylinder has 2 faces. Now, looking at the edges, where those faces meet. Well, these faces don't ever meet. So we can't have an edge because they're not touching one another. So there are no edges on a cylinder. So do you think there's going to be any vertices? You got it, no vertices. So those are probably 3 of the easiest shapes because they have some kind of a round feature to them. It's very easy to determine their faces, their edges, and their vertices, even in some of the pictures that you're seeing online. Now here's where it gets a little complicated. You guys are trying to count faces, edges, and vertices on shapes like a cube. Now this was probably the second hardest shape for us to find, was something that had all square sides. So we did have a hard time finding this, but David dug it out, and I guess he must have solved it correctly. So when we're counting faces, we're looking for the flat surfaces. So we've got 1 flat surface there. If I turn it this way, I have another flat surface. If I turn it this way, I have another flat surface. If I keep turning it, I have another flat surface. Oh, let's see. Oh, I didn't get the orange. That's another flat surface. And then, oh, the yellow. Another flat surface. So when I look at all those flat surfaces, those are the faces. So based on my sticky notes, the highest number that I have is 6. So there's 6 faces on my cube. Now, thinking about those faces, I'm thinking about where this face and this face meets. That's going to be an edge. So when face 1 and 5 meet, that's an edge. That's an edge. That's an edge. That's an edge. And I've got an edge here, and an edge here, and an edge here, and an edge here, edge here. Oh my goodness. There are 12 edges on a cube. Now we go to vertices. This is where those sides meet up. And they kind of make like a point, like a corner. So I've got a corner here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are those points where the sides meet. So I have 8 vertices. That's hard to figure out looking at a 2D computer screen. So if you have some kind of a cube to help you actually be able to count the faces, edges, and vertices, this will be of help to you. All right, so then I'm going to take my last object, rectangular prism. Who doesn't have a rectangular prism at their house? I mean, if you don't have pasta or cake mix, cereal boxes, they're all rectangular prisms. So, faces. I've got one up top. That's that flat part. 2. 3. And this is what I would be doing in the real classroom, guys, with you. 4, sideways.